All right. Now we're going to talk about how this concept of price elasticity relates to total revenues for the firm, for the company or the business selling this item. So first, let's talk about how to calculate what is total revenue and how do you calculate it. Well, total revenue is the amount that consumers pay and the amount that sellers consequently receive for goods and services that they sell. And it's pretty simply calculated. It's simply the price of the good times the quantity sold. Okay, so if you were given a point, if you were given a price, say this price up here, right? That corresponds to a quantity that's sold. So, P1, Q1. If that's the price, that's the quantity that's going to be sold. And to calculate revenue, we would just take price P1 times quantity Q1. Right? That would be how you would calculate total revenue. Okay, and as it turns out, elasticity is related to total revenue, and this is important because firms may want to know how changing their price is going to affect how much money they make. In fact, if you ever plan on owning a business, this is something that you would want to particularly pay attention to. So I'll start out by sort of prepping your brain with a question, right? Suppose you do own a business and you want to make more money, right? You want to bring in more revenue. Should you increase price or should you decrease price? I'll let you think about that for a minute. In fact, if you need to, pause the video and think about that. So hopefully you thought about that, and if you are particularly keen, hopefully you realize, well, it depends. As so many answers in economics, the answer is it depends. And it depends on the elasticity of demand, right? It depends on the elasticity of demand. Okay, so let's think about this a little bit more deeply here. So we basically have on the left here a demand schedule, right? Price and quantity demanded in our first two columns. So that's a demand schedule. And then in the third column, we've got total revenue based on the demand schedule there. So just multiplying price times quantity demanded. And then, as you can see, revenue starts out at 0. It increases as price comes down. But then as price continues to fall, total revenue then begins to fall as well. And you can see that there's a region here where total revenue is maximized, either at $3 or $2, okay? And then recall that up here in the top part of the schedule at $5 and $4, that's our elastic region, right? And you can even see in the later columns here the percent change in price, the percent change in quantity demanded, and the elasticity. So the top few columns, the top few rows are the elastic region. Right in the middle is that unitary or unit elastic region. And then the last couple rows are the inelastic region. Okay, so, and then as you can see, revenue is maximized when we are at that unit elastic region. So what this means is if you're selling an item that is elastic, right? People are very flexible with it. They have potentially lots of substitutes. For example, then in order to make more money, since people are very responsive to price, you want to bring down the price to make more money. Okay, if you're selling something that has an elastic demand, which makes sense. The response in terms of quantity is going to be bigger than the change in price. So even though you're bringing down price, you're selling a whole lot more, right? And that's how you're able to make more money. The opposite of that would be an inelastic item, something that has inelastic demand. So this might be something like a kidney, right? Although you can't buy and sell kidneys, so maybe that's a bad example. But things that are necessities, right? There aren't a lot of substitutes. We need them no matter what the price is. In that case, you'd want to bring the price up because even though you're increasing the price, which will decrease quantity, the change in quantity is pretty small compared to the change in price. So as you bring price up, even though the quantity is coming down, it's less than the change in price, and so you're able to make more money. So Pretty interesting thing to think about. Graphically, we can also show this trade-off between price and quantity. Okay, so let's continue thinking about this. So, right, if you're increasing price, good news, you're selling each unit at a higher price, so that's good. But the bad news is because of the law of demand, you're selling fewer units, right? Whereas if you reduce price, the good news is that you're able to sell more because of the law of demand. But since you bring the price down, you're receiving a lower price per unit. You're receiving less money for each unit you sell. So there is a trade-off here because of the law of demand. So let's see how this works, right? So let's suppose we go from selling at $4 to selling at $3. Well, if we sell at $4, we're able to sell only one skinny latte, right? So our total revenue is $4 times one unit, which is a total revenue of $4. Now, as we bring our price down to $3, we're able to sell an additional latte, right? So we lose $1 on that unit that we sold initially at $4. So by bringing the price down $1, we're losing $1 there, but we're selling an additional unit. So we're losing $1 by bringing the price down, but we're gaining $3 because we're selling one more unit. Okay, so on net, we're earning $6 in total revenue instead of $4. So total, we're gaining $2. Now, if we continue and we're in the unit elastic region, the trade-off exactly balances each other out, right? We go from $3 to $2, so we lose $2 on those 2 units we were selling initially, but we're able to sell one more unit, and we gain $2 on that additional unit since we're selling now at $2. So there's no change here. If we continue, now we're in the inelastic region. We bring price down. Now we're starting to lose money, right? Because that we decrease the price by $1, so we lose $3 on each of those units we were initially selling at $2, and we're only able to gain $1 additional from selling that additional unit. Okay, so that's a nice graphical representation of what's going on here. All right, so let's get a little bit more practice. Suppose a firm is selling a product at a price which is on the inelastic portion of the demand line. What should the firm do to increase their revenue? Now, take a moment, pause the video if you need to think about it.